Sorry guys, my memory card got full. Imagine that. Anyway, continuing. The beast in me only fed off of this scurrilous behavior, forcing our contaminated souls to embroil. I slid my arm around her neck, squeezing her into a chokehold. I'll fuck you when I'm good and ready. Got it? Yes, she bit out. In the far-off distance, a tighter piece of rope caught my attention. Stay put, I warned while retrieving the worn thread. Looping it around her neck, creating a noose, slowly pulling it tight, I felt her tremble below. Clutching it within my grasp, I placed the head of my erection against the eager flesh of her ass. Breathing in deeply, her body stiffened up, knowing what was coming. You had better lube that shit, Mally, she said through gritted teeth. I curled my fist towards my bicep as the rope cut off her oxygen intake. Dominantly leaning forward, I gently kissed her shoulder, only to sink my teeth in. Nikki let out an aggressive sigh as I continued down towards her ass, letting my saliva trickle from my tongue. Is that better? I said with sarcasm. I pushed myself inside of her, releasing the rope just enough for her to breathe in while ramming her until her screams echoed throughout the entire warehouse. My hands were constantly battling where to remain, switching from her hips to her neck, then tangling through her hair. I watched her skin blush from every surface scratch and handprint I had left. Covered in sweat, I reared back, coming inside of her until exhaustion forced me to stop. Untying her hands, Nikki fell completely over, panting helplessly. Salvaging the strength she had left, she used her teeth to loosen the knot that bound her wrists together, revealing rope burn that was already bruising. Jesus Christ. How the fuck are you going to explain that? She just shrugged. I'm not going to be the only one leaving here with marks. I raised an eyebrow as she pulled up her shorts. Just as I least expected it, a hot rush dispersed through my cheek, followed by another. Nikki backhanded me so hard that her class ring caught my eyebrow, tearing it open. Warm liquid trailed down the side of my face as she stood before me, mirroring my smile. Boldly raising her hand once more, I stopped her in mid-swing, pulling her into me for a hard kiss. Leaping up into my arms, Nikki wrapped her legs around my waist, gliding her fingers through my hair as I lowered to the ground to let her straddle me. Planting her hands into my chest, a smirk tugged at the corner of her mouth. I got stopped in an alleyway. That's your excuse? Charlie's gonna go berserk. Good. So I explained through an exaggerated, merciful lie. I'll be sure to define in great detail just how much I enjoyed being taken advantage of by a complete stranger. Nearly taking my life by strangulation, beating my ass incessantly, so then maybe he'll fuck me in the way that I want him to. I laughed, shaking my head. Or he'll just think you're a damn wacko while knowing better. Well, anyway. Thanks for coming out to see me. I'd better get back home. Charlie should be back in town here soon. My smile dropped into a frown as I got up to follow her outside. Nikki grabbed my face, giving me one last personable kiss, leaving my heart to flutter. I stood by watching her pull away before I headed off to the gas station to cash my check. The ride there, I just couldn't get her off my mind, no matter how hard I tried. This time, I decided to obey all posted speed limits. Pulling up to the stop and go off Cambridge Road, I spotted Charlie's friends, Dean and Raymond, leaned up against their cars. The ruckus of my loud exhaust immediately drew their attention as I stopped to park. I watched Dean nudge Raymond's arm with his eyes enlarged once he caught sight of me. Of all fucking places, they had to pick this damn gas station to hang around with their piece of shit rice burners. I casually walked past them as if I didn't even notice their existence. Out of my peripheral, I saw Dean pull out his cell phone. The probable events that were bound to occur set my nerves on edge while my heart nearly beat out of my chest. I went down each aisle until I found some butterfly tape for my eyebrow. Pulling a piece out, I used a convex mirror in the rear of the store to close my wound, later thinking superglue might have been a better alternative. Nothing to really complain about since the bleeding had stopped. Waiting in the checkout line, I glanced out the window, noticing Dean and Raymond looking at my motorcycle. The longer I watched, the more my muscles tightened in my face. Just when I thought I could pull my eyes away to move forward, Charlie's car came tearing through the lot. Fuck, I muttered under my breath. He jumped out of his car, walking over to Dean and Raymond with haste. My heart raced as he knelt down, examining my tires. Developing tunnel vision that closed in around them, I suddenly felt like I was going to collapse. As a gleam from the sunlight reflected off of the blade of his pocket knife, my instincts had me flying out of the store's door, nearly shattering it. Hey, what the fuck are you doing? I yelled. Charlie looked over his shoulder, marrying a satanic grin. Not moving his eyes from mine, he shoved the blade straight through my back tire, wiggling it around as the blade disappeared inside the rubber. Once satisfied with mentally forcing me to grok at his motive, did he then show me his true intentions, physically. Extracting the blade, air began to leak and deflating my tire. Oops, he chuckled. My blood was on fire, while I stood seething with the heat of 1,000 suns. Rage ticked beneath my skin, aching to tear his head from his fucking shoulders. It took all of the spiritual power I had within to refrain from busting those pearly whites out of his mouth. The reality of actually defeating all three of them was the undeniable probability of 1 to 100. Instead of letting my actions take over the situation, I let my mouth pour bullshit like cement. I bet you feel pretty damn tall that you just did that, don't you? Oh, that was just for shattering my windshield. But since you want to use your balls, you little fuck, I actually owe you, a lot more. I actually owe you for fucking Nikki, too. She isn't your goddamn girlfriend, I sneered. What's in your hand? Dean snatched my check so hard it gave me a paper cut. I refused to act infantile while fighting for it, so I stood by observing. Well, isn't that a nice chunk of change? He snickered, handing it off to Charlie. I'm sure you don't need this. Oh, wait. Maybe you do. He held it out before me with the lighter at its corner. Closing in our space, Charlie leaned in next to my face, lowering his tone into my ear. Tell your pathetic mother that you're unable to supply her addiction, along with your piss-poor excuse of a father that you can't buy his alcohol for the week. He smiled sardonically. Fuck you, Charlie. I bit out. What's he gonna do, Charlie? Without his posse of rabid wolves? Not a damn thing, 'cause his little bitch is too weak. He's not a man. He's not man enough to handle his own. Charlie flicked the lighter, destroying my check within seconds. My eyes fell captive to the flame as it engorged the paper, sending fragments of ash into the air before it nearly burned his fingertips. He gave it a nice stomp as it floated to the dirt below. Oh, is that what you think? Next time I find myself inside of Nikki while her tight, wet cunt engulfs my cock like the sick little devil she is, I'll be sure to remind myself of how I can't handle my own. I'll remember how it makes me less of a man with each strike my body bears while she's on top digging her nails into my flesh, just begging me to enhance force while I swell inside of her, I said with snark. That's all it took for Charlie to come charging towards me, knocking me straight to the dirt with one right hook. Without any struggle, he picked me up by my shirt, one-handedly bringing me to his face. Are you still in disbelief about being weak, Melly? I licked my lips, ingesting metallic with a smirk, watching his eyes turn black. Charlie smashed his skull against mine with a headbutt, dropping me back to the dirt. Feeling pain emerge inside my cranium as if it were splitting in two, Raymond and Dean quickly lifted me up, slamming me face first against the hood of Charlie's car. Look at you, Mally. You're pathetic, and you're a helpless little bitch. I'll be sure to leave your blood all over my car as a friendly reminder that I am greater than you, and it swells my pride to know you actually believe that you have one up on me because you fucked Nikki. She doesn't want your ass. Why do you think she stays with me? It doesn't matter what you think, Malice. You're no comparison to me. That's why the bitch never leaves. Get it through that thick head of yours. He clutched the back of my head, bouncing it off the car's hood. My balance gave way as I slid off in a daze, landing in the dirt once more. Charlie grabbed a bat from his back seat, holding it in front of me. Remember this, Melly? Yes, exactly. This is the very same bat that you and your dickhead friends used to smash my windshield. Well, now I'm here to return the favor. While Charlie took his anger out on my motorcycle, I was granted the privilege of enduring Dean and Raymond kicking and living shit out of me. After the fourth hit I took to the abdomen, I was unsure on whether I had broken ribs or if I was internally bleeding, or perhaps both. Charlie backed the both of them off me while I gasped for air. That's enough, he said, squatting down. Setting me up against his car with an impertinent spat, his soulless eyes met mine. He deserves to live and suffer for this. I'm quite sure we've made our point. Developing blurred vision, I curled up a nostril in sheer defiance. Baring bloody teeth, I dared him to knock my fucking lights out. I'll be sure to inform Nikki in great detail about how much I enjoyed kicking your ass. The ass beating well overdue, yet the one that was well deserved. Charlie reared back once more, pounding his fist into my face, causing all of my surroundings to darken as my eyes rolled into the back of my head. Alright. So that concludes chapter 6. Poor Malice just got his ass kicked. Stay tuned to figure out or find out what happens in chapter 7. I'd like any feedback you guys have about it, any commentary, questions, just hit me up. You can find me on my Facebook, or you can just subscribe to me right here on YouTube. But thank you guys.